Happy 2017, everyone. This is Derek. It's January 2nd, and this is the first of a quick 3-part tutorial for the Gematrinator, version 0.74, just uploaded today. This new file is available at one of the 2 links in the description. The first link is a zip file that contains an assortment of Excel files, including some searchable databases to get you started, in addition to various data spreadsheets. The second link is just the Gematrinator itself, which is all that's really required to run the application. Before beginning, a quick note to Mac users. At the moment, this file uses VBA functions that are not included in the Mac version, so as far as I know, you will not be able to use this on a Mac or in OpenOffice. I've only ever worked for companies that exclusively use Windows, so this was news to me following the original release. Macs appear to be missing a reference library called refedit.dll, and I don't believe there's a simple way to install it. If anyone watching this can get it to work or has any knowledge on this topic, please email me. I would love to make this full project available to users on all platforms. Eventually, the basic search functionality will be available online, but the Excel version can do so much more. So this first video is going to cover the basics of the Gematria tab, and will show you how to add or edit your own custom ciphers. As before, it's my suggestion you create a folder on your desktop or other common location so you can keep all relevant files in one place. Alright, after the splash screen, flip over to the Gematria tab. This is where you will conduct your searches. To begin a new search, click the big button, click the search term, or use the shortcut Ctrl+G or Alt+G. From the search menu, begin typing and the calculations from all selected ciphers will display as you go. To change the displayed ciphers, click the button here, or use the shortcut Ctrl+E from the Gematria tab. With the Pythagorean exceptions, keep in mind that only relevant ciphers will appear, meaning that you won't see the S exception results if there's no S in the search. Likewise, if you select both the S and KSV exceptions, you will only see the S exception if there are no Ks or Vs in the search. Similarly, you will only see the Francis Bacon results if you include a capital letter in the string. Now, the lower left part of this menu is for custom ciphers. To add a new one, first click Edit and then Add New. Enter a name for the cipher and fill in each letter with a numerical value. Zeros are allowed here. If you wish to make the value for uppercase letters different than their lowercase counterparts, click Differentiate Case. Unlike lowercase letters, you are allowed to leave the boxes for capitals blank. Doing so will give that character the same numerical equivalent as the lowercase. Click Save, and your new cipher will now be displayed in the list. Simply highlight its name, click Done, and you will see its results in your next search. You are allowed room for up to 16 custom ciphers. After you run a search, of course, you will get the calculations in each selected cipher. Below each result is that number reduced to a single digit, but the reduction will stop at master numbers 11, 22, or 33. A new feature in version 0.74 is the ability to double-click any of the cipher names to view the breakdown. As the number one goal of this project is to help spread information, bloggers and forum users will find it useful to be able to copy the breakdown by simply clicking the button here or hitting C. If you want to modify the format the breakdown is displayed in, just click Options to tweak what you see. On the left side, you can choose what information to display, and on the right, you can modify the display for multi-word phrases. Either display the value for each individual letter, or show the entire sum of each word. The option to add a line break is also available. Another new feature is the Number Properties form. Now first off, if a phrase's calculated result is a prime, triangular, or Fibonacci number, it will say so above the cipher name and turn green. Otherwise, there will just be an info link you can also click to display the form. So this menu gives you some nice information. On top, you'll get the prime factorization. Below that is a breakdown of the number's position relative to each primary sequence list. Exact matches will turn green. To the left of these, the relative number of each list is shown. So for example, on this menu, we see that the 38th prime number is 163, The 38th triangular is 741, and the 38th Fibonacci number is, it's really big. Underneath that is a full list of divisors along with the count and sum. Much like the calculation breakdowns, you can simply click the checkbox on the lower left to enable click to copy. This will put the prime factors, sequence position, or list of divisors directly to your clipboard when you click them. It's also easy to navigate to the properties of a related number. Just click any of the blue underlined values you see, and the menu will refresh with that data. To enter a number manually, click the Change Number button or the number itself. Clicking Search for Matches will give you a list of words that sum to it, provided you have at least one searchable database enabled. I'll be covering that in the next video. I will note that this form works for all numbers up to 1 million, as the prime list has been expanded to include all prime numbers up to this value. You may enter numbers all the way up to 10 million, however, numbers over 1 million may not give you the prime factors, and it will take a bit longer to calculate. The last new addition I'll cover in this video is the search history. The most recent 100 searches you run are saved, and you can navigate backwards and forwards through them by using these buttons up top. Well, that's it for part 1. In part 2, I will explain how to create or open a database so you can start making some real connections. Alright, welcome to part 2. In this video, I will be covering how to create and search through various databases in the Gematrinator. In previous versions, you had to import a database into the file to make it searchable, but this is no more. Now, all you'll need to do is open the database in Excel and keep the file open while the Gematrinator is running. So in here, I'll run a search, and as you see, nothing shows up below the calculated results. I'm going to open my Gematrinator folder and navigate to the databases subfolder, and for this example, I'll use the database of numbers. As soon as this file is open, the Gematrinator will begin listing matches it finds in it. You can open as many of these as you want, and the files can be as large as your computer can handle. What this means is that the 350,000 line dictionary file I posted from the original version is now searchable like any other database. You can also combine multiple databases into one Excel file. Each individual tab will be treated as its own searchable database. Please note each database must have word or phrase listed in cell A1 or it will not be recognized. This version contains 2 more rows underneath the reduced results. The first row contains data showing how many matches were made. The first number shows how many matches were made in that particular cipher, and the second number counts the rest. The number in the row below that shows how many words in the active databases have their value in that specific cipher calculated. Please note there is a maximum number of results, and this cell will turn red when it's reached. To manage your databases, hit Ctrl-D from the Gematria tab, or click Edit Databases from the search menu. Each database you have open will populate in both of these boxes you see here. To exclude one of them from a search, just click its name to remove the highlight from the left box. Databases will be searchable by default upon opening. Towards the bottom, the Edit Database button will bring up a new menu that gives you 2 options. The first is Regenerate. This function will take all of the words from the selected database and repopulate the table with the results from each of the selected ciphers. So let's say, for instance, you've built up a large database, but you only have been saving the reduced and ordinal values. After going in and selecting additional ciphers, the Regenerate button will rebuild the entire database and include the results from each activated cipher with just one click. With this feature, you are able to update any databases you've created in previous versions of the Gematrinator with the results from the new ciphers. The second button on the form allows you to begin a brand new database from scratch. Click Create New and you'll get a menu asking you which workbook you want to add the database to and a prompt for its name. Click Create and you will see the new blank database appear. To enable saving a search to the new database, just go back to the Database menu and highlight it from the menu on the right. Once you return to the main page, you can add the search by clicking the Save button or hitting F1 from the search form. Save something you didn't want to? Just click Delete or hit F4 from the search form. The row containing data for the phrase you entered will be removed from all the databases you have designated for saving. When there are active databases, words or phrases whose Gematria sums to the same value as the search entry will appear in the below list. If blue and underlined, it matches the search entry using the same cipher. Regular text indicates a word or phrase whose sum equates to that number in a different cipher. You will only be given results in ciphers you have selected. For instance, the word 3 sums to 336 in Sumerian, and 4 will show up as a match because it sums to 336 in Jewish Gematria. However, unselecting the Jewish cipher from the menu will prevent this match from appearing the next time. To run a search for any matched phrases, simply double-click it. This works for any of the results numbers displayed as well. Entering a number instead of a word or phrase will find all matches in each selected cipher. So let's say you've run a search and find some interesting matches below. You now have the ability to export a list of all matched values and their sums in each active cipher. This is easy to do. Anytime you've completed a search that results in matches, just click the Export Matches button. Similar to how databases work, you just select which workbook you want to save the new file to. You can change the name of the tab as well if you wish. After clicking Export, you will get a page that looks similar to the databases. Here, however, the second row will display the word or phrase you entered, and below that, cells containing a number matching one of those values will be highlighted. A match to the result in the same cipher will be highlighted green. Before wrapping up, let's take a quick look at the List tab. This is almost identical to the previous version. Here you can type or paste a virtually unlimited number of words or phrases into column A. After verifying the databases you will be saving these results to, simply click Calculate All, and all of your results will be added, making them immediately searchable. As I've said before, the more capable you are with Excel, the more you can get out of this feature. As an example, I'll go to Wikipedia here and copy this table that contains the name of every nation in the world. In a new blank Excel file, I'll right-click cell A1, select Paste Special, and select Text. Normally, Excel will recognize the different table columns and split them up for you. However, you may need to do this manually. If you see that the entire table was copied to just one column, highlight that column and go to Data and Text to Columns. By using the Tab delimiter, Excel should be able to split this data up, allowing you to select the column containing only the country names. Copy this data and paste it into the top cell of the Gematrinator's List tab. Click Calculate All, and every value in the list will be calculated and added to the selected database. Just like that, the countries will now appear in your search results. Just make sure to save any database files you're editing before closing them. Alright, that wraps up part 2. Move on to part 3 for details on the date calculator and the date list page. Hey, welcome to part 3 of the Gematrinator version 0.74 tutorial. So far we've covered the basics of the Gematria page, how the ciphers work, and how to create and manage searchable databases. In this video we'll take a look at the updated date calculator, some of the new functionality, and also the powerful date list tab that I hope many of you can find good use for. For the most part, this page is self-explanatory, but there's a couple of nice features. There are only 2 cells you can edit here, the beginning date and end date. You are able to either enter a date manually, or you can use the arrows above to move the date forward or backward by a day, a week, a month, or a year. The numerology for each of the entered dates will be shown below, as well as the formula calculation. Double-clicking any of these cells will allow you to copy the data to the clipboard. To the right, you will see 4 boxes that display the span between the 2 entered dates in various formats. Above these is a button called Find Date. In this menu, enter the number of years, months, weeks, or days, or any combination thereof, that you want to add to the beginning date, and the end date will be populated with the result. To flip these and find a beginning date to a selected end date, Just click Find Beginning Date instead. As you type, the date will update. Click Done to close the menu. I will note that currently this does not calculate numerologies for dates prior to 1900, as Excel does not have those dates built in. A future version will work around this. Now at the bottom, you'll see a few boxes that calculate the span between the two dates if they were within 1 year of each other. You can use this to see how many days it's been since or until a birthday, for instance. In addition to the number of days, there's also a breakdown of months and weeks. The calculations on the left side do not include the end date, the ones on the right do. You'll see that several of these cells are underlined. You can click them to bring up the number properties form. Okay, so let's take a look at the Date List tab. This is also similar to the last version, however it's been reformatted. Let's go through these group by group. First, you'll get the numerologies for the start date. This goes through column N. Next, you'll get the numerologies for the end date, going through column Y. Beginning in column Z, you'll get the data for total span between dates. This information comes out of these boxes here on the right. Starting in column AH, you'll get the data that appears in the boxes down below here. For each of these 4 boxes, you'll get 5 columns of data. The first being the number of days, the next 2 being the number of months and days, and then finally weeks and days. There's a lot to look at here, so let me show you another example of how this can be used for good. What I'll do here is look up some of the high-profile celebrities who have recently died and enter their birth and death dates. Once these are entered, and again there's no real limit on how many you can punch in, just click Calculate List. You will be prompted to save the results in a new workbook, but you don't need to. This list that exported now shows me the date numerologies of their birth and death dates, as well as the number of days each of these celebrities lived. And as I scroll to the far right, you can see how many days from their birthday they were, both after their last and before their next. Alright, so that just about concludes this tutorial. Just as last time, please notify me of any bugs you have, and I will do my best to respond quickly. Now that this calculator is nearing completion, it's time to get busy with these tools and accelerate our research. For many years, the world has been itching for the right opportunity to speak out and wake those around them up, and I feel as if numerology and Gematria is our best way to do this. While some people may inevitably remain sleepwalkers their whole life, many regular people are becoming increasingly open to the idea that something is greatly amiss in this world, with great thanks to the sheer ridiculousness of the Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump election season. Numerology and Gematria can take those who cannot on their own conceptualize the fact that their perceived reality is a mere construct, and provide them with tangible, visible proof of manipulation in news, science, and sports. Let's all do our part in saving the world from the tyranny that certainly awaits if we continue to do nothing.